for the final time in 2024. The victory horns sound, and they sound sweetly, ladies and gentlemen, because they knock out Real American from my earballs, which had been stuck there after the walkouts for the UFC Tampa main event. And in that main event, those victory horns, they sound for Joaquin Buckley, who takes a third-round TKO doctor stoppage win over Colby Covington after a nasty cut over Covington's right eyelid. Hey guys, I am Jed Meshew of MMAfighting.com. You probably already know that, and if you don't, glad to meet you. And this is the UFC Tampa post show. We do this every time. It is the last time we were doing it for a UFC event in the great year 2024 because the UFC is all wrapped up and it ends kind of weirdly. Not bad. Most people won't to have issue or call it controversy, especially because Buckley was whipping that ass. But ending on a cut stoppage is, it's a bit of going out with a whimper. But here to talk about all of that with me on your post show, it's the man with the plan. No sleeves, no mercy. Mr. 3024 himself. Baddest producer, baddest stash in the game. Casey Leydon.
I am excited to be here. What a wonderful night of fights. Just can't wait to talk about it. Let's get straight to it. Nothing weird about the main event. It was a great main event.
Look, I don't think anyone should take away from the victory for Joaquin Buckley because he was just beating the soul out of Colby Covington in there. But this, circumstances are a little awkward. He was denied getting that sort of highlight reel finish like, you got in the co-main event, which we will talk about with one Cub Swanson, not too distant future. But let's start right here, Casey. I think we don't really need to talk about the event as a whole. I actually think both of us are pretty open. We like the event going in. It was a very fun night of fights. Certainly the main card things kicked off and we had some great results there. So let's dive into the main event and let's start with the man, the dude who got it done 4-0 in the year 2024, Joaquin Buckley. Casey, the first question I have, was this the best we have ever seen Joaquin Buckley look inside the cage?
It was a combination of the best we've seen Buckley and the worst we've seen Colby. I think this is even a worse version that we saw even that fought Leydon. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but my big concern about this fight is the because I think both of us we both predicted Buckley third round TKOs and we got it. But
we nailed it. Way to go us.
So smart. But I was kind of worried, how will we come out of it? Is it going to be, whoa, Buckley looks great, or Colby looks completely washed? And I kind of think we got both.
Definitely a little bit of both. And we did talk about that in the preview show and some BTL of will Buckley get credit if Colby looks bad? And maybe there's some of that. I don't know. It feels like the tenor of how this all went down. Absolutely. Colby is close to washed. I've been saying that all week. I thought he was close to washed against Masvidal. Go back and rewatch the Masvidal fight and he wins, but we know Masvidal is washed and he had a lot of moments against Colby. And then the Leydon fight was just full blown. Man is in the deep rinse cycle of washed. So coming out a year later without competing, I guess if you bought into the high altitude issues, the broken foot stuff, maybe, but almost immediately Buckley started putting the wood to him. He stuffs a very quick, an early takedown the first round. And from that moment on, at least from my eyes, I thought Buckley looked incredibly confident, was feeling himself for most of the fight, and Covington never looked comfortable. Basically, from the moment the first takedown got stuffed with not just ease, with authority. Covington didn't get close in the takedown. He ultimately does get takedowns later, but it was not hey, you're going to have success at doing I missed the takedown, but I get you to the fence. He stopped him from initiating any chaining, and I think that moment was really when I felt good going in. As soon as that first one happened, Casey, I was like, Joaquin Buckley is winning this fist fight.
Yeah, I think we all felt that. Yeah, we stuffed it, and the fact that Colby couldn't chain it. He got stuffed on the double or something. I can't remember exactly, and just Buckley just had his underhooks, sprawled hard, and that was it. And they were back standing again. and we all kind of, I think, watching it felt, ooh, Colby's cooked. Colby is. I
That
felt I felt Colby was
yep.
cooked, and honestly, I want to go back a moment during the walkout. The walkout, the Hulk Hogan walkout.
We could talk a lot about the walkout. I would like to get this on the record, on film for us. I called that shit. I called that right here on this preview show. We were talking about, I was like, here's what's going to happen. And the only thing I got wrong is I thought it would be cool, and it actually was super not.
Because I felt Colby, like, that wasn't a guy that walked out there thinking, I'm gonna beat that man Buckley across the cage. I'm gonna beat him easily. That looked like a man going like, I'm getting in a very tough fight, and
We're
like,
getting in
because
a
he
fist
didn't,
fight.
there was no sell, there was no like, yeah, rip the shirt, there was no like, nothing. I was like, come
There
on,
was
you
no
got Hulk Hogan
theatrics
there,
to it
no theatrics. You're
whatsoever.
gonna walk out Hulk Hogan, you're not gonna sell it. And to me, that's just like, that's Colby being extremely nervous and like realizing what he got himself into. And yeah, and Buckley looked, man, okay. The more I'm thinking about it, yeah, I do need to give Buckley more credit. I mean, he looked great, obviously, but I think, yeah, he looked. Yeah, this is, without a doubt, this is the best Buckley we've seen. And the fact that when he did get taken down, as far as I can remember, no submission attempts, and no serious. I don't think one serious shot
It,
really landed on the ground from Colby.
UFC stats doesn't really track this, so like it's not an easy way for me to pull up. I am not certain that he landed a strike when Colby finally got a takedown in the second round and had top control for like a minute or so. I honestly don't think he landed a strike in the third round when he did get on top. He then started landing stuff. None of it was like majorly significant, but when he was just stuck in Buckley's guard for a while, he was doing the normal guard work you do to stay busy, not get stood up. Eventually, Buckley stood up. The fight gets stopped. Referee or doctor comes in, and like there was no hesitation. There was no think about it. Dan Miragliotta even was like, "Do you want me to clean this out?" And then maybe you think about it again. And I quote, because this stuck out at me. No, he's gonna lose that eyelid if this goes on much longer, which is the gnarliest shit you've ever heard. And like she wasn't having, she's like, nope, we're done here. And Dan's like, okay, you sure? Yep, all right, fight's
Yeah,
done.
that wasn't blood leaking out. That was like plasma that was leaking out of Colby's brain. I think that toward the end of the third round, those chunks of dark red liquid on the
Yeah.
mat, it was like, oh, you knew as soon as they stood up, like, pretty much the fight was done. But
I
credit to Dan, he gave Colby a chance. He let Colby work on the ground
He
before they
tried to
got
give
up.
Colby a lot of chances.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
didn't quite. I knew the fight was done. I mean, so like I said, I knew it was done at the sprawl. I was like, this is only going to end one way at this point. But really, I still don't entirely know what cut him. They showed a replay of an uppercut that may have been the result, but I wasn't really sure if that was it. Whatever it was, at the end of the first round, when they go back to the corner and you see that Colby is bleeding, but you're not really sure. It didn't look as bad as it became because he started pouring buckets of blood as the fight went on. Right before round two, when they did the zoom in and you see just the cuts, just it is in the bad place. It is in the exact worst place to get it. I was like, this is round one. Like this fight is not. There is a time limit on this fight, and Colby is not exactly the kind of fighter who can survive something like that with a guillotine over his head. He does not have that sort of offensive game to I'll end the fight quickly to save myself. And so ultimately he didn't. And then a whole bunch of things happened. Primarily, Casey, the biggest thing that happened, Buckley, best performance of his UFC career, gets his best win. Michael Bisping comes in. Joaquin Buckley is a man that we have mocked on this very program, on post shows this year. This year, Casey, me and Mike went apoplectic, almost caused a heart attack for myself in my fury and anger at him calling out Conor McGregor as the dumbest call out that could ever be made and a huge waste of his time. This man has turned his career around in less than 12 months. Comeback fighter of the year. I don't know if you can give it to somebody who is coming back from being an idiot, but if you can, this man deserves it because he gets in here and he looks at Michael Bisping when Bisping's like, hey, man, first he apologized to the crowd. Shout out to him. He's like, hey, I know y'all came for a knockout. I'm sorry that I beat this guy's ass, but I didn't get a knockout. I should have knocked him out earlier. A+ work. And then he's like, oh, you want me to pick somebody? No, the fans are going to pick. And he does the old school applause meter. Hey, guys, I'm going to throw 3 names out there. Y'all tell me. He says Leon, the crowd boos, which was deeply funny. Kamaru Usman and Bilal Muhammad get roughly the same amount. And this is the part that Buckley's not going to get the credit for that he deserves. Honestly, I think he actually got more applause for Bilal Muhammad than he did for Kamaru Usman. But Buckley wisely was like, no, I think the answer is Kamaru Usman. The crowds, because he knows that is the correct fight for him. He's not going to get the Bilal fight. This man, Casey, what happened that this dude has turned the franchise around like this?
Clearly, he watched our YouTube streams. He clicked the subscribe button. He said like. He super chatted us.
Smash that like button.
Mash that like button. He's smart. He's a man that's online in the good way. I think he listened. That's all. He listened to us. And I want to say that was doing a call and response to a crowd that was cheering, openly very much cheering for your opponent. Although they did switch halfway through.
I'll say they switched because I couldn't figure out where the crowd was. And I was like, and then immediately when they did the Colby cut, like, let's go Colby, I was like, oh, now I got it. They're a Colby crowd. And then 3 minutes later, it was Colby sucks. Okay. Sucks. I don't know what's going on now.
But a fighter doing a call and response to a crowd is very risky. I've been at open workouts. I was at the Jessica I one when she asked the crowd to do the woof woof, and I was at the Tyron Woodley one when Tyron did some, I don't know, it was bad, but he committed to it. It worked out, and yeah, great. Outside of a big knockout, and that dang doctor worried about fighter safety. Yeah,
he was gonna get the big knockout.
He was going for it. Yeah, he was going for it. Yeah, so fighter safety ruins it again, but just yeah. Great night for Buckley. Just great night. And it was one of those fights too. And I think if he would have came out and just knocked Colby out like in 30 seconds, I think I look higher on his performance tonight because he did stuff to takedowns before Colby was hurt, before Colby was, drained of all his energy, before his eyeball was falling out. So he did all the tough stuff he had to do to beat Colby already. And Colby's legit. He is an elite welterweight. Not Colby. I'm sorry. Joaquin.
No, I was saying Colby sorry. Joaquin. Yeah.
Joaquin. Yeah. Because coming into this, we're like, well, he did lose the first round to Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy's old and stuff like that. We were kind of, poking holes in his kind of 170 run. But, I mean, and we will poke holes in this one. I know this is a washed Colby. This isn't prime Colby. But what he did, I don't know if it answered questions about Buckley, but it just kind of maybe just reassured us that, no, Buckley deserves to be where he's at. And the Usman fight makes complete sense. And if he wins the Usman fight, whew.
I think reassured is the exact right word. Like, it is very possible that this is more, Colby looks worse. Colby is more washed than Swiss Buckley is a transcendent fighter or whatever. But his performance there's nothing to pick holes in Buckley's performance, right? Like the only hole is, well, Colby's washed. It's not he did bad. Like he was beating the crap out of him. And so like I would have loved just a straight Kamaru Usman call out. I think like that would have been on the nose, absolutely accurate and correct for him. To do it that way, it was absolutely risky. When he first started, I was like, I don't know if this crowd's going to play along, because he even prefaced it by saying it's a shame some of y'all are leaving because the crowd's exiting, the event's over. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but he committed enough. It worked well enough. I'm a bit surprised we haven't really seen any fighter do this before, like in the UFC. And so like it's a 10 out of 10 post fight. I don't know how Usman doesn't say yes to the fight with him at this point in time, right? Like, I think he is going to get the call out. He has set himself up to if you want to be cynical about it, frankly, which is not how I want to approach this, because I am absolutely here to give Joaquin Buckley his flowers. If you want to be cynical, what Buckley has done is craft a welterweight title run by beating 340-year-olds, which is sick. Like he gets to beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he gets to beat washed Colby Covington, and he gets to beat fairly washed Kamaru Usman should he end up beating Usman, that fight comes to pass. So this was just like A plus work from him all around. And if you went back to what was, I'm trying to remember which was the one he called out. Uh, it was almost certainly after the Nursultan Ruzabayev fight that he called out Conor McGregor. Because I think I remember that being like, you took a UD over Nursultan Ruzabayev, and now you're calling out Conor, you bozo. This is insane. If you had told me back in May or whatever, April, whenever that was, I'm like, hey, Colby Covington, not only is Colby Covington going to completely turn this around, Colby Covington may be in your top 5 fighters of the year this year, which he may be in the top 5 fighters of the year this year after this. Like an incredible, not 12 months, an incredible 6 months from Colby, or not from Colby, from
Yeah.
Joaquin Buckley to do what he has done in this regard. So
And
full marks for him.
even the win versus Luque, which we're like, coming this fight, we're kind of poking holes, like, oh, Luque is really washed, but then Luque has a great performance against, who did Luque just beat? Whomever. Luque just won big.
Luque beat Timba Garimbo. I couldn't think of his first name.
What all I'm saying is, like, the hit, I don't know. I'm just sorry. I'm really impressed by Buckley. Yeah, I think everything you said, like the turnaround in his career, the public perception of him, man, this sport can change very fast as how we look at fighters. I mean, we see this all the time, actually. Guys like Rashad, people now, everyone loves Rashad. We remember when he was booed relentlessly. Anderson Silva used to be booed relentlessly. Now he's, freaking Anderson Silva. So things change fast in the sport, and just, yeah, you get a couple wins, stop saying stupid crap, and then say the right thing, take risk, and yeah, here we go.
And he did. And credit to Buckley, because he was a big part of why they changed fast for him. He did I'm going to go into the presser and say, hey, let me get on that Salt Lake card, not Salt Lake, St. Louis card.
St. Louis card.
That's where I'm from. Let me be the main event. He didn't get the main event, but he gets on that card. He had some big fumbles this year. The beef with Cub Swanson was obviously insane and stupid. Yeah, we're about to talk about Cubby in just 1 second. But really, really impressive turnaround to him. I am genuinely looking forward to Joaquin Buckley versus Kamaru Usman sometime in 2025. And so full marks, Joaquin Buckley. I'm very, very impressed by what you've accomplished in the last 6 months. Let's go to the other side of the ball real quick, Casey. The loser of the main event, Colby Covington. We've kind of touched on him not looking his best, etc. Was this the best outcome he could have hoped for outside of a win, obviously, because he does lose? And while most people who viewed it, etc., I think we're all on board with, yeah, he lost in a way that's explicable, but also that just sort of saved him from the knockout that was coming. He can do hey man, like I wanted to keep fighting. The doctor stopped it. I had him right where I wanted him. I was starting to get the takedowns. This fight was about to turn my way. We knew he'd be strong early, but the championship rounds are where I was going to shine, and my eye was totally fine. So is this the best Colby can kind of hope for, getting that sort of Nate Diaz loss, but with a built-in excuse?
No. I mean, it wasn't the absolutely worst loss he could have, but of the 10 worst losses, it's like, I don't know, number 6. I mean, yeah, he could got submitted in the second round. He could got knocked out in the first round, but he was going to go into that 4th round down 30-27, and no matter what, the cut or no cut, he was down 30-27. He lost the first 3 rounds, and he had done no significant damage to Buckley. So he can say whatever he wants. We're gonna hear it,
and he will.
We're gonna hear it. But no, did the elevation sickness, did that really work? Where we're like, yeah, I guess, elevation sickness, it happens, no. Colby, I guess my question as far as Colby is like, is he is how do we treat him now? How the fans gonna look at him now? Is he now Colby sucks? Because is he Colby sucks now? Is all the weird? I don't know. I don't know.
I
Say fan goodwill.
I
I don't know.
think this
I don't mean.
saved him
I'm not even.
from that.
I don't understand
I
Colby's fandom, so I'm kind of confused, to be honest.
I think this saved him from the fan base turning on him. The turn is coming because very plainly, even if you're a Colby Covington fan, like you're not a Colby Covington fan because of the way he fights, because he has left you with these indelible moments in the cage. You're a fan of him for other reasons, which is fine. I'm not telling you not to be a fan of him because he shares an ideology. You like the same things. Like that's a perfectly good reason to be a fan of somebody. But that is not the way to really connect with the fan base long term. I'm pretty certain of this based on history. And so when you start, I wrote about this like 2 years ago. It was like that gimmick only works so long, and it really only works if you're successful. When you stop being successful, there's nothing to attach to you because you are attached to an ideology, and that ideology wants winners. They don't really want to be associated with losers. And so if you are a loser, you're not necessary part of it anymore. And so the turn will come if he can't find a way to continue having some success, because he's not somebody like Cub Swanson, who has Hall of Fame fights and moments and excitement. His fighting style has just never been that fun to watch. So I think this saved him from people immediately turning on him, because he does get sort of a built-in excuse, even if maybe I don't really buy it. There's some truth to it. Maybe he would have won the last 2 rounds and it would have been more competitive. He was getting takedowns more successfully, certainly. So there's perhaps a kernel of truth, even if I don't really believe it. But we'll never know because the doctor did their job. So I am very interested in where he goes from here. I suspect Colby will take some time off again. He has been very good about that over the last couple of years of just the sport moves quickly and people forget things as the cycle goes on. And if you can just stay out of the news for a little bit, you come back, people have missed you, what you bring to the table. Who he comes back against is a very big question that I have no idea about, though. So
And he'll be 37 if he returns. When he returns, 37. So, um,
and
we're
I just don't even know where he goes is the thing. Like there's maybe you can do Wonder Boy, like some old dudes fighting each other. Like Colby
what does that
has
mean?
to
What does
feel
that
it.
mean? Now he's just doing Legends fight. He's on the Legends tour. Is he
I
just?
mean, that's really, if he gets to be on the Legends tour, that's positive, because he could be on the, hey, Welterweight's got some hitters coming up and you are now the dude we're building off of. So if he gets the Wonder Boy fight, I think that would be a boon to him, because that is a winnable fight, as opposed to, hey, you get to greet Carlos Pratis to the cage the next time he fights. Good luck. So I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're going to see Colby kind of just sit out for a little while, weigh his options. Maybe he tries to fight Jorge Masvidal again because it's a fight he can win. Big name. I don't know. I honestly am very interested to see where he goes, even if I'm, not personally that interested in seeing the fights, because I've never really liked watching Colby fight. Like I don't really like Marab. That style is just not to my taste, even if I do think it's good and effective. So Casey, let's move on from the main event, because I'm sure we'll get some questions at the end to kind of keep diving into it, and mainly because I know that you are about to digitally slap me if we spend one more second not talking about the co-main event. Cubby Swanson gets the damn thing done. Beautiful, brutal, devastating knockout of Billy Quarantillo in the third round. A fight that was well on its way to being one of the better fights of the year, easily would have been in contention for fight of the night. I haven't seen bonuses yet, so I guess it could have even won fight of the night and got a bonus for old Cubby. I think they probably will just do multiple bonuses instead of fight of the night. But Casey, how freaking good is Cub Swanson?
I I have a crush on Cub Swanson. It's just like he's just oh, the
Buddy, I'm very
longevity.
aware of that. Some of the stuff you were saying in Slack, I was
Oh,
like, okay.
hey, I stand by. I stand by it, homie. I stand by it. I stand by it all. Just I don't know. I've known Cub for a long time. Actually, when I first started working in this industry almost 20 years ago. I mean, maybe 19 years ago or so. One of the first interviews I edited was actually a Cub Swanson interview when he was training under Eric Paulson down at CSW, and I was just like, oh, that guy's got palm trees tattooed on him. That's weird. And but man, just the longevity of his career, just always exciting. Always just I don't know if he. I've met a lot of fighters in this game, and Cub's one of the real dudes. And yeah, I was just happy he got this tonight. Got this win tonight. And I love Billy Q, and I hope Billy Q takes a good rest because he is getting hit in the head a lot. I'm really I'm kind of worried about Billy Q, how many shots he was taking, because this is not a forgiving sport. But Cubby Swanson, man, I believe he should be a UFC future Hall of Famer, and I believe I think of him as like kind of that one of those great list of fighters who kind of never fought for a title. They were always like right there. They're always top 5, top 10 guys. But, he just never, he ran to Frankie Edgar. He ran to Jose Aldo. It happens. But we saw it, man. Just like the guy's amazing and 41 years old, man. It's just the guy can hit, and like this, he's kind of, I don't know. He represents what I love about the sport so much.
Cub Swanson is the dude that I created. Damn, they were good. Just like to be about. It's just dudes like that, like guys who never get to fight for a title. I do not believe Cub Swanson will make it into the UFC Hall of Fame individually. He is obviously in for his fight with Duho Troy.
Yeah, well, I mean individually, yeah, of course.
Yeah, individually. Yeah, I do not think he will make it individually because the sport doesn't tend to honor fighters like him in that way. But like he is a dude that if you have been watching MMA for the past 20 years, he's just been awesome. Kaposa tweeted this earlier tonight, and I can't believe like I just forgotten that this was the case. It was just like, how did we never get Cub versus Korean Zombie? Like just like how did that not happen for us? That would have been the best. But instead, Cubs 41 and still doing this. And credit to Billy Q. This fight was insanely fun for 2 rounds and 2 minutes or whatever it was. Cubs started off very hot. Billy Q sort of surged back in the second round. Both guys got hurt at various points. And then Cub, in a knockout that many people online likened stylistically, visually to Kamaru Usman's knockout of Jorge Masvidal, because it is basically the exact same thing. I believe you called it a Timu version of that, and that is exactly correct. It's the exact same sort of right hand just nuking him. And it was incredibly, incredibly cool. In the end, Michael Bisping sets Cub up to retire in the cage, says, hey, is this going to be it for you? This is an emphatic, incredible victory. And Cub does not commit to it. Says he's got to talk to the wife. He knows he doesn't have much left, but he doesn't want to make any commitments in the cage, which I think is fine. If he had not prepared to retire beforehand, don't be forced into it by the circumstances. Make the decision best for you. But Casey, would you like to see Cub end his career in this way, a way that I'm certain is going to get him a bonus, if not 2 bonuses? And, going out in a really, really emphatic way for your career. Like not many people in their careers in this sport in a better way than Cub would if he hung it up tonight. Interesting hat.
Real quick correction. It was you're confusing the great knockouts. Cub had a great knockout, but the knockout you're thinking of was Jacoby over.
Oh, I was thinking that.
Yeah. No problem. Simple mistake.
You're correct.
We saw a lot.
Billy did die though.
He did die.
Billy. Credit to Billy. I tweeted this earlier. You guys, this is one of my bits it's not a bit. I just mean with my full chest. Dying well is a great skill to have, and Billy Q dies well. When he dies cinematically, and he did the full Bloosh.
Yeah, we
It's
need to make
great.
a list of fighters who die well, like guys like Johnny Walker, fighter.
It's honestly the list that I was born to make. I should absolutely make that at some point because, like,
but
yes, Johnny Walker may be like the apex dies
yeah,
well guy.
yeah. Who is this? I think Corey Anderson on that list. Good fighters that die well. When
Yeah,
they lose, they lose
dying well
big.
is great,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Billy Q died so well in
So,
there.
what was the question? What was the question? I'm sorry.
Do you want to see Cub hanging up after this
Oh,
one? Like, is it, you know, would you be comfortable with him coming back and fighting again? Because he still looked like he obviously still has tread on the tires. He still got gas in the tank.
yeah. This would have been the fight. Maybe if he would have came into it thinking that, but I get it. I mean, he just beat a quality featherweight. I mean, yeah, I think he knows, yeah, no title shot. I'm not a top 15 featherweight anymore, or even a top 10, whatever. But I kind of like, yeah, I would like for him to leave one fight too soon than too late. And so tonight would have been a great night. But who knows? He still may choose that path. But tonight would have been a good night to call it a day. Co-main event, sold out, record-breaking gate. So yeah, but maybe I don't know. Maybe they can throw him on that LA card. That's too soon. That'd probably be too soon. Nah,
Let's
it
say
wouldn't be too
that's
soon.
that's
Yeah,
way
yeah,
too soon
yeah.
after
That's
what
it.
just
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. If it was like a quick knockout, but yeah, it's just too soon. But
He took a beating.
yeah. You're right. But no, I think tonight would have been a good night. And so now my fingers are. I'm just gonna be scared every time Cub fights now, because this, like we said, this sport and how it treats you on the way out. It's not good.
It does. I struggle to think of a better end to his career at this point. Like I just don't know what you can sculpt
It
that.
was a classic Cub fight. It felt like it felt like it felt like the Superboy fight again. It was just that kind of fun.
Honestly, like watching, I was like, I mean, damn, if this is his last fight, like this isn't going to go into the Hall of Fame, but like this is one of the better scraps of the year right now. Like this
Yeah.
is exactly what we thought it would be. So, uh, I if he wants to keep fighting after this performance, who can blame him? But it would have been a very nice capstone to the career. But if not, then we can delay his damn they were good for at least a little while longer.
How many WEC guys are left?
Not
I know
many.
I know Dominic Cruz technically,
Aldo, Dom, technically, Cubby.
maybe Hanayaya. I'm not sure if he's still on the roster anymore.
I don't think Hanayaya is on the roster
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
I think he got released once Victor Henry finished him.
Or might be it. I'm really trying to rack my brain.
Yeah, if you can throw something in the comments. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, if you can think of any, I'm trying to think of any bantams that honestly that might actually just be it. So WEC never die, except for it's very, very close to the end of its run.
Oh.
But I mean, honestly, if you wanted to do, and I know that they don't compete in the same weight class anymore. If you wanted to do Cub Aldo 2, I'm in. I'm in. That would be sick. David, there we go.
That yeah. Otto doesn't seem to be he doesn't seem to be into those type of fights, but I wish he
No,
would.
he's still like trying to make a title run, which
Yeah,
is
they don't.
weird.
Stop it.
Because like,
Stop it.
dude, we don't care. We just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you should have gotten one, but we just want to see you retire Dom Cruz and like fight Patricio Pitbull when he comes over. Like, we don't really give a shit about you doing this
Going
bantamweight
against Jonathan
title.
Martinez. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
like
Or
I
do we
don't
just
care to see
Mikhail,
these
yeah,
fights.
don't care.
Just
Like, stop
fight.
wasting. I want
Yeah.
to see you fight Cubby
Just
again.
accept that you're old. Like, accept that you are old and fight old people. Come on. Even though you're still one of the 10 best bantamweights in the world, just stop doing that part of it and do stuff we want to see.
Yeah, that would be a great fight at featherweight. Yeah, Auto Cup. That would be the one to make.
If I am Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, I am making that fight. And I'm offering them whatever it takes to get Aldo to say yes. And it's the main event of a show that's not in the freaking Apex. And we're bringing back the WEC cage and the WEC gloves. And we're just making it a celebration of WEC like we did 306 and Noche in the Sphere. It's a celebration of the greatest freaking MMA org that ever existed.
And you know where you have that fight at? Tachi Palace.
I was going to say, you owe Tachi one, so you give it to Tachi. Boom. Make it happen.
Dana
Casey,
White, there you go. That's free. Take it.
Clip this, tag Dana, tag Mick, tag Sean, tag Hunter, tag all of them. Let them know we are shitting gold right now, and they can take it for free. Again, shout out to Billy Q for dying well and for scrapping. Last individual.
Wait. They gave out bonuses. Did they?
I haven't seen bonuses. Let me look at them. We did get a fight of the night, Casey. It was Cub Swanson and Billy Q got fight of the night. Performances went to Dustin Jacoby and Michael Johnson. So, the Jacoby one seems very, very obvious that he would get one. Michael Johnson, also pretty freaking cool bonus there. I would say bit unfortunate for my boy Joel Alvarez, who both knocked out and submitted a dude.
I put that on a knockout of the year list. That was I've never seen a knockout like that. Knocked him out. I'm jumping down the card, but put him in the guillotine, punched him in the head while he's unconscious, and choked him out. It was amazing. It was
a very weird, cool finish that Joel Alvarez got no love for. I really thought we were just going to get 4 performances and Billy Q was going to be just kind of left out, which would have sucked, but not what they did. C'est la vie. Casey, we do have one other big fight to talk about before we kind of just quickly run through and maybe give shout out to another. And it is, of course, the feature bout of the evening. Arguably should have been the co-main, but we knew the co-main was going to be pretty sick. And this guy has been up and down, but he wasn't up or down tonight. He was all the way up. Manel Kape gets a third round. Sorry, it was the third round. Knockout from just beating the hell out of Bruno Silva functionally. A fight marred by a number of fouls. The rare double foul early on with the simultaneous eye poke and groin kick. Multiple groin kicks through the fight. Finally, a point is taken after like the third one, and doesn't matter because Manel Kape. This Casey, this is the Manel Kape we expected coming out of Rizin, right? Like this is the guy we were all hyped on.
Yeah, this is the guy I've been screaming from the rooftops about forever. Yeah, he showed up. The double eye poke. I mean, not double eye poke. The double eye poke groin shot was amazing. It was
absolutely terrific.
Highly innovative. I mean, I know we don't deduct points ever, but I would be okay with actually giving him an extra point for the creativity
for innovating. It's a rarely seen double foul. Truly respect. I respect the much worse groin kick in I think it was the second round, where he does it almost like, and I know Michael Bisping's like, I don't think he meant to do. I'm like, Bisping, he just punted him in the nards when he was getting rocked. Like, even if he didn't mean to do it, he kind of meant to do it. Like, this was like, that was a Hail Mary up the middle and just like very, very bad. So it was wild, but Manel Kape looked amazing. Casey, he looked so amazing. When he gets on the mic afterwards, he says a bunch of stuff. He said a lot in a very little space of time. Some of it was great. He called himself terrific, which terrific. I was absolutely tickled. I love that you caught that as well, because it was like, that's adorable. It's like, I'm terrific.
I'm terrific.
It's like, you are terrific, Manel. It's the best.
No lies.
Well, the big takeaway is that he called for a fight against flyweight champion Alejandro Pantoja. Said that he's going to be the new guy to take over the division, be the pay-per-view star, etc. He wants that fight. We were talking in the preview show in BTL and all week. Is Manel Kape possibly fighting for a title shot here? Would maybe make the most sense. He did lose to Muhammad Mokaev in his previous fight, though I actually scored that fight for Manel Kape, as many did, and Manel Kape does not believe he lost for whatever that is worth. But a performance like that, he jumps the cage, he's talking to Dana White, saying, Dana's like, dude, go enjoy your moment. We'll talk backstage. Do we think that he is going to get the Alejandro Pantoja fight next?
I hope so. I mean, what else? I hope so. I just hope so. That's all. Pantoja was Kape's first. Is that right? Yeah, his first opponent when he came to the UFC. He fought Pantoja, and I thought he legitimately lost to Pantoja. His other losses, I thought he beat Nicolau, and I thought he beat Makayev. I know he lost. I know the judges didn't think so, but I thought he won.
Mhm.
And regardless, but Pantoja was a legit loss. He lost that fight, and
Yes, he
I
did.
think it's time. I think
Yes,
it's
he
yeah,
did.
yeah. I mean, and I'm the biggest Manel Kape fan. I was like, all right, you lost, but timing's perfect. You can sell the fight. There's a rivalry. You have footage. You have the great promo. Cop kind of did
Portugal
the
versus
thing on the.
Brazil, baby.
Oh, and there you go, right there. Um, yeah, I love that fight. I don't. Am I forgetting a name? Is it just Royval? I mean, who
I
else would it be? Who
so
am I forgetting?
the, Royval is like the guy who deserves it, quote unquote. The other option is Kai Kara France, who also has one win, but he's a new opponent, which is why people have kind of behind him a little bit. Just Pantoja hasn't beaten him, in the same way that he's beaten Royval and Marino a billion times. I mean, he has, but he hasn't done it 5 times or whatever that he's done with the rest of them. So that's kind of the new spice, the new flavor. But
I think it was so long
honestly,
ago. It doesn't even feel like it doesn't. It
and
feels
yeah, it
fresh.
was a
Yeah.
billion years ago, and so like he's different circumstances, tough, etc. I get it, but coming off one win, this is also coming off one win. Honestly, maybe it is homerism, maybe it's just being ridiculous. I was sold. I was sold by the performance and the call out. I was like, dude, just do it. Why not? Let's have some
Why
fun.
not?
Let's make this happen.
They did Airsug. Why not? They did Kai Sakura because why not?
Yeah.
Let's do Cop because why not?
Flyweight's the division of whatever we do, whatever the hell we want. Let's put Manel Kape in there. We wanted this fight for a very long time. We finally got it. Even if maybe it's a little bit by hook and by crook, good enough for me. Let's get Manel Kape a title shot coming off of this. Rundown of the other results, and then Casey, I'll ask you to pick. Let's go with two shout outs. We'll draft them, same as we did in the preview show. Dustin Jacoby pulls off an incredible third round knockout of Vito Petrino, a fight I'm pretty sure Jacoby was about to lose, but he obliterates Petrino, sends him to the land of winds and ghosts, and gets a bonus for his trouble. Daniel Marcos ekes out a split decision win over Adrian Yanez. I actually scored the fight for Adrian Yanez. Don't have an issue with you scoring it for Marcos. Very, very close. Marcos gets the dub. My boy Navajo
That
Sterling
was
off.
fight of the night before the co-main event.
It was fight of the night before the co-main event, but although I would say they're on different tiers of
Oh yeah,
quality.
yeah.
But it was the best fight of the evening. Navajo Sterling beats Tuco Tokos in a fight that looked like a dude who has 5 professional fights and has
Yep.
some talent against a guy who isn't very good, but at least is durable enough and has experience. Michael Johnson, nasty knockout punch against Atman Azaitar and gets himself a bonus as well. And a win streak, first win streak for Michael Johnson in many years, I believe. Joel Alvarez, my true boy. He has been my boy forever and ever. El Fenomeno. Flying knee and submission win we talked about over Drakkar Close. Sean Woodson wins the Battle of Gigantic Featherweights with a first-round knockout of Fernando Padilla, Felipe Lima, UD over Miles Johns, Miranda Maverick, UD over Jamie Lynn Horth. Davey Grant picks up a UD over Ramon Tavares, and Piero Rodriguez opens the night. Fairly big underdog, pulls off a unanimous decision in a 30-27 clean sweep of Josephine Knudsen. So, Casey, let's draft our favorite non-main, co-main, and Manel Kape performances. We'll each get 2, and I'll let you pick first.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Sean Woodson and Joel Alvarez. Just Sean. Is Padilla good? I don't remember his fights.
He's
Cause he did.
fine.
He's fine. Okay, but
He's still a
Woodson
little
worked him.
young. He's like 26. He doesn't have that much
Yeah.
work done,
Okay.
but he's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. I like Sean Woodson. I like his hands. I like his just weird gangly body. He's just fun to watch. Just
He's all those things.
A unique looking human, and I mean that in a good way. And so, very impressed. I want to see what's next from him. And but Joel Alvarez, man, Drakkar Close is a tough lightweight to beat, and the way he beat him was incredibly impressive. And the man brings violence, and I don't know. I'm not even sure what the ceiling is for. I mean, I'm not saying he's the next Habib or anything crazy, but Joel Alvarez looks like he is going to be a kind of perennial top 10 fighter, and I don't know him versus BSD. I don't know. There's so many fights.
Versus
He's
BSD would be sick.
yeah.
BSD
It's
should
like
not take that fight.
no, he should not. You should
BSD
not. You're
should
right.
not.
Yeah, you're right.
BSD could win it, but like he's on a 2-fight losing
Yeah.
skid, and he should be looking for a softer touch than that.
So whatever is next from Joel Alvarez, I am very excited to see him because I feel like we saw him at his full potential tonight, and charismatic, good on the mic, exciting fighter. Yeah, awesome.
Spanish, Spain's a market they're trying to get into. I've loved Joel Alvarez since he whooped up on Joseph Duffy. But that was like back when Duffy was at the end of being like a credible dude. And I've just loved this dude forever. Like his losses, lost to Demiris Magulov and he lost to Arman Sarukian. Okay. That's fine. And everybody else he has finished. I love me someone who does not use judges, and this man does not use judges. He will settle this business his own damn self.
He doesn't seem he doesn't seem to really force the fight either. It's just that's what I mean. He's like, I'm just gonna go crazy for 5 minutes. It's just who he is, and like I know exactly what you mean. And yeah, I liked him before, but you really sold me on it, and you maybe I kind of paid extra special attention to that fight because of how high you were on him. So I was like, all right, and no, you're right. The man, he is a very good talent that the UFC has.
He is a predatory offensive fighter. Like if you are hurt, it is curtains. Like that, he is just gonna end you if he senses blood in the water. Which is what he did to Drakkar. Basically, was like, oh, we're done. We're done.
Is he kind of who you thought Jalen Turner may have been, or?
I still think Jalen. I want to be clear. I'm still in on Jalen Turner, but they are similar fighters, except for. I mean, realistically, I think Alvarez is a more fun fighter. I think Jalen Turner should be a better fighter. But they are very similar. I think Jalen Turner has better tools, but no, like they're just giant dudes who have incredible offense, and that's all. Like. Fuck a defense. I don't need a defense. Just be cool is all I need. And
defense
they are.
For cowards. Defense is for cowards. I've been saying
exactly. That except for Adrian Yanez. Adrian, you should maybe invest in like some defense because you could be really cool too. But yeah, no, he's been my boy forever. I'm very glad that he's getting the shine. It seems like he's probably going to get a crack at somebody in the top 15 next up. I mean, he knocked out and submitted a dude. You don't do that all that often, and especially a good dude in Drakkar Klose, who I think is a very good dude. I will.
Can't believe it.
I mean, it's a real shame. And I'm just gonna shout out Dustin Jacoby because he was pretty close to losing that fight. I think he was going to lose that on the judges' scorecards.
That was a pretty bad 12 minutes of fighting.
It was an awful fight to watch, but he comes out smelling like roses because he got an unbelievable knockout, 50K for his trouble. The only other thing I will shout out before we pop to the peeps, Casey, is I just have a special message for Adrian Yanez. Just get with Cub Swanson. Like, pretty clearly you just want, like, you have the same style as Cub, but you're just not as good at it. So just like go train with him, learn how to do it better, because you did a lot of blocking punches with your face tonight, and that is probably why you ended up losing a very, very close split decision. So otherwise, this was a really fun night of fights, Casey. There were some low moments. You know, the Petrino Jacoby fight dragged for 10 minutes, certainly. And some of the early prelims, nobody is going to go rewatch the Miranda Maverick fight. Like, they're slow moments, but Miranda Maverick, she didn't get over like we were ready for her to.
Yeah, we're before on our Q&A, we talked about who has the most to lose on this card outside of the main event, and we kind of both said Yanez and Maverick, and Yanez kind of
did.
And it's weird. They both had weird nights.
Yeah.
Like Miranda Maverick had a win, but she's staying on the early prelims, unfortunately, probably for a little bit until something changes.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. Miranda Maverick is going to go right back to the Apex, where they're not bringing Miranda Maverick out to the road shows anymore. She's going back to the Apex.
I mean, the woman's clearly a hoss and very talented, but as far as, excitement. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what's missing. But yeah, she's not not ready
I,
yet.
I'm with you. I don't know exactly what is missing, like other than a very broad sense of like she should finish people at some point in her life. Uh, just maybe a little more meanness, but she's clearly got tools
Yeah.
and probably will be like a top 15 fighter for some time because she has tools, but she is really becoming a not stylistically similar, but like she's really Chukagianing her way through this weight class, which isn't where you want to be in the UFC's good graces. So
And yeah,
uh,
I
I
think we're
think,
yeah. I'm just kind of waiting for her to turn that corner, that one fight. Oh, there she is. Yeah, but hasn't happened yet.
how old is
So
she? She's 27, so she's still got some
yeah,
time to turn the
time.
corner.
Yeah,
Still plenty of time to make it work. Shout out to Davey Grant getting the dub. Underdog, old dude, still showing he's got some life. And Pierre Rodriguez didn't
big
commit any
upset.
fouls. So
Yeah,
way to go. Big upset,
yeah,
and she didn't headbutt anybody.
yeah. Congratulations.
Terrific. So Casey, let's go to the peeps. We've been going for
Yeah,
close to an hour. We can answer some questions. Y'all know what it is by now. You got questions, we got answers. Pop them in. We'll answer the best ones. And super chats, as always, get priority. We'll go for 15 minutes or so, or until the good questions leave us, whichever comes first. Steven Dawson, does this version of Buckley beat Ian? I think he probably would have won if it had been. Has he shown enough that he can win and hold the belt 2 to 5 times? It's a really good question, Casey. So originally, this fight was supposed to be Buckley versus Ian Machado
Ooh.
Gary. Obviously, Gary gets pulled, goes to fight Shavkat, overperforms. If that fight doesn't change and instead Ian Machado Gary stays in this card instead of Covington, I think I have to be really interested to see the fight. I think Ian Machado Gary is a substantially better defensive fighter than Colby Covington is in the striking, certainly. But also stylistically, Buckley is going to be attempting far more takedowns than he was against Covington. That was really not part of the game plan at all for him. So it is a wholly different fight. I It's a fight I'm really interested to see. I think we will get it at some point in time, frankly, but I don't. It's hard for me to say I think so just because Ian fought Shavkat really tough, and I think the world of Shavkat. So hard for me to say that I would favor Ian, but I could be wrong here. Casey, what say you?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Both, I mean, because they both. I mean, we kind of if we compared to what we just saw, Buckley's performance over Colby and Ian's over Shavkat. I, man, both look
It's a good
both
question.
both look good. Does it? Okay, let me ask you this maybe. The original booking. Who were you gonna predict in the original booking? Assuming the
I was going
Shavkat
to favor him. I was going to favor Gary. I
and I
I
think
think Ian
I think when
Machado
he
Gary is
changed,
a very good fighter, and I've thought that for a very long time. I know
yeah,
that he is. I don't think that like he. I think he lacks the same ceiling as maybe some other people because he is not a predatory offensive fighter, which is perhaps also just a wrong. I just favor fighters like that in my life, like the people I am more drawn to. But I think that he is obviously an extremely good fighter, and he gets underestimated because people do not like him personally.
yeah, I think there's a little bit of the outside of the cage stuff
Mhm.
of Gary and Buckley a little bit too, um, but not obviously not to the same in stupidness that Gary gets. But actually, it's weird. Like off Gary's loss, I look higher on Gary, and off Buckley's win, I look higher on Buckley. So I don't really change my opinion on how that fight would have gone. Actually, I just think both of them are actually better than what I kind of thought they were coming into it.
I think it would be a really good fight. I think we
Yeah, I
will
still
get
like
to
it.
see
Yeah.
it. Buckley will use takedowns more, see how that would change, see how that affects his cardio, etc. But I think we'll get it at some point. As far as the other question here, do you think he has enough he can win and hold the belt 2 to 5 times? I would be pretty surprised if Joaquin Buckley held the belt, you know,
He's the
two to
next
five
GSP. We
times.
have no. Yeah.
We can't discount that entirely, I suppose.
Never
But
know.
in
You never know.
general, if you just bet against any fighter holding the belt 2 to 5 times, you're going to be right far more often than you're going to be wrong. And I do think Buckley has some deficiencies that boutique game plans against a variety of opponents probably expose a little bit better than maybe he can. Because again, I am not taking anything away from his performances. He has looked unbelievable since dropping to welterweight. I do just want to roll off the list of people he's looked unbelievable against. Andre Fialho, okay. Alex Morono, okay. Vicente Luque, Nursultan Uzubayev, Stephen Thompson, Colby Covington. 3 of those 6 wins are due to very clearly past their prime right now. So, got to factor that in. I think that, if he is, instead of facing guys past their prime, he is facing dudes at the very top of their game, Ian Machado Gary into Shavkat Rachmanov, into Jack Della or Sean Brady. I think the road gets a lot tougher. And so I would say it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely he wins the belt in general. If he did win the belt, probably unlikely he retains it for a number of defenses.
But the fact that we're honestly and like talking about Buckley and title shots, like he's one win away from a legitimate title shot.
Yeah.
And what brilliant
or one injury to Shavkat away from a
one
legitimate
injury,
title
yeah.
shot.
That is insane. And he would do it by beating another fighter past their prime. And I'm not discrediting Buckley at all. I'm actually saying that is brilliant management by Joaquin Buckley in his career path. So if he can manage a career shot, manage a title shot off beating past your prime Wonder Boy, way past your prime Colby, and past your prime Usman, just an incredible career. I want to say resurgence because it's not like he was gone, but I just didn't expect him ever to be this high on the welterweight rankings, and he legitimately is.
When he dropped to welter, I was like, oh, cool. He'll probably make the top 15. Like he will probably get ranked at welterweight. Not, he will be like making a real serious deep run to it. So it's great. Like I was very certain that his career was going to be defined as the ninja kick dude. And it still may be like the first thing in his obituary when he dies at 50 years from now or whatever. But it also could be former UFC title challenger. Like that is absolutely the world we're living in right now. So again, full credit to him, man. Really, really impressive year.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Some more super chats coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Everett Price, Kape was hot dogging to draw fouls. Next level. I love this idea. Manel Kape was not hot dogging to draw fouls. Manel Kape likes to put on a show in the cage a little bit, particularly when he's feeling himself. And Casey, that was my point earlier. Like we have not seen a lot of this Manel Kape in there. He has been a little tentative, a little reserved in his UFC run. Like he has just not been the rising fighter who is just dog walking people and letting them know about it. And then for whatever reason, it came out against Bruno Silva. I don't know if it's just because he felt very confident in the matchup and he feels less confident against guys like Makhachev and Pantoja. But like this, I want to see Manel Kape showboating in there, hot dogging, as this is quote unquote said, because that's when you're getting the best Manel Kape.
Yeah, you said it. That's the Manel Kape that I knew and watched the Horizon, and we got to see it tonight. And this is the guy I've been like just going, God, wait till he starts fighting at his potential. He's so good. And we got to see it tonight.
Deeply in on him the moment he came over,
yeah.
And it's finally getting paid off.
Finally. And one day for you, Jake Matthews will fight for his title.
I abandoned that one. I haven't sold my stock in Jalen Turner, but Jake Matthews, we ditched that. That's a sinking ship.
But no, Kape's awesome, and yeah, I think he'll get the next title shot. And I'm glad. You know, actually, how many of those fights were at the? Okay, the Makhachev fight. Let's just ignore that. That was just a bad fight. I think he'll own that one. That fight just sucked. Even though he thought he won, I thought he won, but it was just a bad fight. But he fought at the Apex a lot, and I feel he's a guy that needs to fight in front of a crowd, and I think it really helped him tonight.
You see how many of these fights were at the old Apex since coming to the UFC. Because
he came over during the
2, 3, 4 Apex fights of like 8 in the UFC. Okay. So about 50-50.
And I look at his Tapology page, and there's so many grays, and that's what's hurt him so much. So many just canceled
A
fights.
lot of canceled fights. A lot of fights fell through
Yeah,
short notice
either
right at the
on his end or his
thing.
opponent's end. So
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of bad luck. So, but stars are lining up, and I think we might get to see Pantoja and Manel Kape too.
And if not, we probably get Manel Kape versus Kai France for a title eliminator, which is also fine. I would rather not, but totally fine if that's what they end up doing.
But see what they do. Because Pantoja might take some time off too. Who knows? He might use him.
Yeah,
he's been pretty busy too. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Everett.
Royce. Another super chat with me. Here we go.
Nick VCC. There's not much in this sport that's better than watching an old fighter seem to be at peace with themselves, enjoying the closing chapters. I mean, I think there are better things, but it is really nice to see fighters like Cub Swanson, who even like the whole fight week, Cub goes to media day and Cub is honest and transparent about like where he's at in his career, that fighting is not the main thing anymore. He is also focused on management and development and working with fighters and their growth and how he can give back to the sport and his family. And that he still does this for the love of the game, basically. And there's something that is very, very endearing about fighters like that. Fighters like Jim Miller, who know that a title run is not happening, but they are still here to have fun. Basically, and this is not to discredit him, Michael Johnson post-fight speech being like, I am making a return to the top. It's like, I don't think nope, nobody wants that for you, Mike. Like, you're winning fights again, which is cool. When you were at the top, you were losing a bunch of fights because you were fighting really, really good dudes. What if we don't do that? Cub Swanson is in a great spot with his career, and if he keeps fighting, I will keep tuning in. I hope he doesn't fight for that much longer because he took a lot of shots tonight as well. Mm-hmm. But I do agree with you, Nick, in that it is a very nice piece when a fighter does sort of have that self-awareness to kind of reckon with this part of his career.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Dane McClendon. Navarro was a little too blonde diamond-y for me.
Blood.
Oh, well, I was just thinking blonde because the name is blonde. You can call him blonde diamond and take that one. There you go. I mean, I think he is a very talented fighter that is deeply raw and needs to develop. And that is what that fight looks like. He probably shouldn't be in the UFC at this point of his career, frankly.
But 5-0, and he won 30-27, correct?
30-27 across the board.
I think maybe one judge might have
given. 30-27 across the board.
Okay, across the board. Okay. Yeah, he looked like a really high level prospect, and
very much.
keep him very low on cards and keep guys and the UFC needs to keep fighters like, who's his opponent's name? Tuco
Tokos.
Tuco Tokos should not be in the UFC. But he should be in the UFC because that's how you
enhance
talent. Yeah. So no, I didn't get blood diamond feels. I just got he's 5-0. Just chill.
That's the thing. He could have, if he had a little bit better fight IQ, which again he doesn't have because he is very, very young. He would have won that fight pretty early. Every time basically he touched Tokos to the body, Tokos like winced and covered up, and he just never went back to it because he's had 5 fights and he just started trying to hit him in the head a bunch. Like, he give him some more time, give him some more development. I'm not saying he'll be a champion. I don't actually think he will, but light heavyweight is a wasteland and he is somewhat talented. So that'll get you really, really far in quite possibly the worst division in the entire sport.
Ooh. Thank you, Dane.
But thank you, Dane. Achilles, he back. Petrino getting subbed by Smith and KO'd by Jacoby, a sign for his future. He's still pretty young, but me. Happy New Year's, Feliz Navidad. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Navidad, not Lavidad, unless Lavidad's a word. I don't know what it means. Yeah, this is the day I got off the Vitor Petrino train. I was never like big on the train, but again, he's 27, looks amazing getting off the bus. I mean, dude is just a stack of cobblestones walking into the cage. And he had been mostly beating people up. Tyson Pedro beats him up. Modestas Bukauskas kills him. I was willing to write off the Anthony Smith thing as he shot a double, got guillotined. Sometimes it happens. Crafty loss. This fight was bad. He did not perform particularly well. He did not fight smart. And ultimately he got left as a grease spot in the middle of the cage. So I'm off the Petrino doing anything train.
Yeah. Looks good coming off the bus, but yeah, that's it. Wow.
These are tough back-to-back losses for him. So again,
Now it's
Jacoby has won like one fight in his last like 7 or something dumb.
yeah. Now is Petrino okay? Speaking of guys like Tuco, is Petrino a step too far for
Probably.
Navajo?
Probably. Navajo just shouldn't be in the UFC at this point, is really it. Like,
You just gotta be really careful of guys like him, yeah, because two
yeah.
bad knockouts, a loss is whatever, but
Mhm.
all of a sudden you're 5-2, or he's 6-0, you 6-2, two bad knockouts, and your kind of career's over at 20, whatever, 27 he
Exactly.
is.
Because like
So
Petrino's next fight is probably make or break for his entire career, which is just very, very tough. You don't want to be that when you're 28 years old or whatever.
yeah. But thank you, Achilles Jr. Oh,
Thank you.
follow up from Achilles.
Oh God.
What do I do?
I'm on my work computer.
You gonna do it now? Yeah. Let me open up a little side
I
window.
should open up the
incognito window.
Well, when I Google that, it does not bring me anything but Feliz Navidad. So the Google machine is working hard to prevent thing. The only thing I can assume is that has something to do with lavatories, and tis shame on you if that's the case, Achilles. But
yeah.
Google won't let me find out. So
Yeah.
Do no evil. That's the motto. Mike Conlon, 5-0 does seem too early for the UFC. I mean, it almost always is. Like, again, Bo Nickel we were like, okay, Bo's probably like the best prospect in a generation, one of them. And he still just hasn't looked amazing in the UFC because he has 6 fights. Like, basically no fighter is good 6 fights in their career. Go back and look. Daniel Cormier is always the guy I use as an example, because if you watch Cormier's like pre-Strike Force, like early stuff, he
Ugly
looks
stuff.
horrible. He looks so bad. Like, he is winning because he is an athlete and he's just overmatched opposition. But he has not figured out how to fight. And then whatever it is, it's different for every fighter. You get 10 fights, whatever. You get enough experience, enough time in, and the switch flips, and you just suddenly you can put it all together in a way that is effective at all points in time and make you very dangerous. And so I think 5-0 should just never be in the UFC in general, because the UFC won't give you the schedule you should have. If you are a 5-0 fighter, you should try and fight 6 times a year. You should try and be fighting a bunch to just learn how to fight, because that's how you learn how to fight primarily.
Go through 1 year, go through 6 fight camps, go through 6 weight cuts, go through 6, weigh-ins, do that process over and over. So I will say this about Navajo though, even though he didn't like blow us away tonight, this I think was vitally important to his full career, because he got to fight 15 minutes. He got to, I don't want to say face adversity, but it wasn't a walk in the park. He had to earn it. And he had to go through the weight cut. He had lots of hype on him. He was a giant favorite. So these are things that are going to be new to him as a fighter and just as a person. So I think in the end, I'm sure from his coach's point of view, I think this is going to be very good for him. From a fan's point of view, you're like, okay, But I think as a fighter, this is important. Just like Daniel Cormier's early fights. Don't need to rewatch him unless you just want to just watch everything with Daniel Cormier. But it's very interesting how the fighters kind of just eventually turn that corner, which I keep kind of saying about Miranda Maverick. It's like, oh, I can't wait till she kind of just does it. It hasn't happened yet, but and I think
I said one day, and it's not just like, it is the same for just about any job. Like, really,
yeah.
And just about any job is just like, okay, there's a day when suddenly it all is it works better. Like, everything comes together in your mind and body figure it out.
There you
And
go.
like I pulled up Habib specifically because I remember like
Okay.
here are the first few years of Habib's career, just so you can understand like what I mean by prospect development. He fought 4 times in 2008. He fought 4 times in 09. He fought 2 times in 2010. And then he fought 7 times in 2011. Like that was how he got his resume. And the 2011 was partially, we're going to stack wins to get into the UFC, but it's also, he's just going to fight every other month because he just needs to fight a bunch of people because that's how you get better. Like that's how you learn what you're good at. And fighting in a real fight is not the same as fighting
Nope.
in training or sparring or whatever. And so my big thing on why fighters shouldn't go to the UFC at 5-0 is the regional circuit is just far better set for them to get multiple fights in a year than the UFC is. Like you, if you get 4 fights a year like Joaquin Buckley, you are extremely lucky. Most people get 2.
And it's also kind of a different time in the sport where I feel like a guy like Navajo Sterling would have been signed by like say a Bellator or Strikeforce back in the day at 1-0, 2-0, and they would have built him up, with the right
Yeah.
opponents. But this is the UFC; it's a different the business is way different now. But he is at 205, and this is maybe the one weight division you can get away with it. To be honest, because you don't see
I
any
mean, yeah,
135ers, you don't see any 45ers
you can't
come
do
in.
it.
You can't do it. You don't see any lightweights come in at
Can't be done.
45 and be real threats. Chase Hooper did it. And look, it was bad. It was bad for him. It took him a long time to kind of get to where he needed to be. I
Yeah.
think Sage Northcutt was one of those guys. You just brought him in super early. It's bad. Has it really worked out for anyone like kind of a 3-0, 2-0 fighter under 55 pounds?
I can't think of anybody who comes in that raw and gets through it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm
sure
saying.
that there's
There's
somebody
like
because like
there's
just
so
law of large numbers, so it's
yeah
gonna work
one
for
person
a
yeah
person, but like that's the thing. Like the John Jones path to success is a really bad path. Like it's just not one that you should do because that's not how you're gonna accumulate the most talent as a result. So I still think Navo Sterling is gonna be successful because his weight class is trash. And like
yeah.
even tonight, you saw a lot of tools there. You saw a lot of poise for a guy with 5 fights, even if he doesn't quite know how to fight yet. Like he's got a lot of ability. He's just got to make it work. And he's with a team in a camp that I think will make it work. We have seen the development of Carlos Ulberg. Like we have seen guys at that camp consistently
Orberg got
improve.
knocked out his first UFC fight, and now he might be one fight away from fighting for a title.
Yeah, like
So
we have seen City Kickboxing very clearly develop fighters over a long period of time. I think that Sterling is in a good place to succeed. Maybe not. Like I said, I don't think he's going to win the belt. I wouldn't write it off because light heavyweight sucks, but he's got opportunity.
yes, and our last comment.
Dave Sandine, did Colby retire? Unless something happened at the post fight, which I have frankly not been keeping up with.
I haven't seen no one said anything. I don't think he didn't do any
I say
media
I don't think he
afterwards.
got a post presser. The only thing I am seeing is that Dana 100% guarantees that John Jones versus Tom Aspinall happens in 2025, which means it's not going to happen.
Yep. And we're saying Conor McGregor in the second quarter of 2025.
I think Conor returning is far more likely than John versus Tom. Hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
So I bring this question up. No, Colby did not retire, but should he retire? Could he retire?
I think he should retire in the fact that I think he is washed. But I was very clear in the preview show. I thought he was washed against Masvidal. I felt I was willing to say maybe the Masvidal fight was training partners and it's tough to fight training partners, guys who know you very well. They know your tricks and your secrets. Maybe I was willing. And then the Leon fight happened and I was like, no, he is just washed. I I am dead certain there is no doubt in my mind that he just doesn't have it anymore. And so he should look to retire sooner rather than later because it's not going to get better for him. But if
Yeah.
he wants to go out on a win, if he wants to try and cherry pick a convenient matchup, maybe if they do go to Miami and Masvidal doesn't fight Leon Edwards, maybe he can sneak his way into a Masvidal rematch or something. But it's going to be hard to craft a good exit for him because I don't think he has it anymore.
Yeah, I'm really interested how the UFC books Colby, or how Colby books himself. He seems to book himself. He doesn't. So, um, it's interesting.
If you're trying to book him for a win, it just has to be some dude who can't wrestle. Like that's it. And so like maybe Wonder Boy. Maybe he can beat Wonder Boy. I wouldn't bet my life that he could beat Wonder Boy, but I would say he probably can beat Wonder Boy. But like that's it. Like the way to get hit, the way for him to end his career is just fighting a dude who can't wrestle at all. And there aren't that many of those dudes hanging around 170 right now.
I mean, would he be? Would he be like? Would he fight just someone we never heard of, but like someone that's not even like been in the top 25? Like,
I don't know who. Probably not because he believes he's a star, and
yeah,
he
that's
is
the
a
thing.
star.
He's,
So like he's got to fight somebody that has at least some level of a name. But like, dude, there's no world in which he should fight Ian Machado Gary after this. Should absolutely not do that.
Like, where would you rank Colby right now?
I will not have him ranked. I don't think.
If we did a top 40, would he be top 40? Would he top 30?
Oh, he'd be top 40. Yeah, he'd be top 40. He'd probably be top like because maybe he could have a good day. He'd still probably be like he'd be top 30, maybe even top 25, but that would be generous. But like
Okay.
I'm just gonna pick most young, talented fighters over him. I think he is washed.
Yeah.
He
Like,
is regressing as a striker, or at least looked to have regressed tonight. Maybe he was just terrified that Buckley hits real hard. And he just doesn't have the physicality is not there anymore. He can still push a pace and he's still very durable. And that can get you wins, but like athleticism ties a lot of what he did together, and his athleticism has dropped off.
Yeah. Someone's suggesting Colby versus MVP, but I think MVP nukes Colby.
Plus MVP's matched up, kid.
Yep.
He's fighting Shar Bullet at whatever Saudi. Is it the Saudi card?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. 85. He's going to 85.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Colby versus
do
Luke.
it.
Luke?
He can win that fight. He can lose that fight too, but he can win that fight. That might not be a bad matchup if you're just trying to get Colby a win. I could see that.
Cool.
I honestly think he is going to try and play for a Masvidal rematch.
That makes most sense.
We settled in the streets, but we last time, whatever, just do that sort of thing. Because he knows he can win that fight, and I don't know there are that many others that he can feel that confident about in there.
You know what? Colby sits out. He waits. He sits out. He takes big breaks. So they book Leon versus Masvidal. Leon gets his win. Then they book Colby versus Masvidal.
Honestly, it would be the only thing that makes sense really for Masvidal at that point. Either it's just like you'll lose, but who else are you going to fight? So sure, let's do it. That could easily be what happens third quarter, fourth quarter next year.
Yeah. I don't think we don't see Colby for at least 9 months. Yeah.
I think that is extremely likely. He's very good at knowing when to take a step back from his career for a little while. And I think this is one of those times for old Chaos.
All right.
And I think that's it. We've been going for more than enough time at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, UFC Tampa is in the books. UFC in 2024 is in the books. But we are not done. There's an on to the next one coming tomorrow. There is big boxing event coming next week as well. Plus, of course, year-end rewards and a whole bunch of silly stuff that I am individually working on to supplement this. So, keep it locked in MMA Fighting.
And me and my wonderful wife, the GOAT, Esther Lynn, will be in Japan, in Tokyo, at Saitama Arena for Ryzen, for the big New Year's Eve card, and Ryan Garcia in his exhibition boxing match. We will be there, so we will be having some coverage there too. We won't be doing these big shows or anything, but we will have coverage though.
Terrifically exciting. So keep it locked in MMA Fighting for the rest of this lovely month. Tune into all our shows, do all the stuff. You know us. We love you for being around with us. And until next weekend for Fury Usyk 2. Love y'all.
Ooh. Bye.
The rematch of the greatest heavyweight fight in years feels kind of like a dud, but we're excited nonetheless.
Woohoo.